Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to Mirage Game Studios. My name is Toby, I'm the community guy and lead artist.
I'm Simon, I'm the game director here at Mirage Game Studios. And this is a brief introduction video thing about our game Space for Sale.
And if you haven't seen the trailer yet, check it out over here.
In a nutshell, Space for Sale is a game about building homes in space. So you take on the role of this small cute astronaut and your job is to make small plots and homes on weird and fun alien planets in a solar system of your own, which you bought on the cheap.
So you're hired by this corporation and they gave you this fixer-upper solar system with a few planets for a cheap price, and you're starting your own franchise as a space realtor. And when you get to these planets, then what?
Vart är du på väg med allt?
Ja, vi hade inte. So Space for Sale is more or less a sandbox game, right?
Very much a sandbox game.
We want to make games where players can like express themselves creatively and go nuts and explore cool alien worlds.
Yeah. Creative freedom is a big thing for us in our games and this in our previous game and this one as well. So you'll be free to do what you like and tackle things in the order you like to do it. So it's a very open-ended, creative sandbox thing.
A concept that inspires us in Space for Sale is taking the mundane and putting it in space. So you're like a realtor, and that's sort of mundane or everyday, realistic, and then we want to...
I can see the angry comments from all the realtors in the chat.
But what happens when you start to sell plots and houses to aliens and space creatures? That's the fun part, and that's the part that becomes like this source of inspiration for us.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun where we take something, you can recognize how you, for those who's been looking for their own homes in this real world, like, I want a good view, I want this sort of thing, I want this kind of space. This
location.
Yeah. This is what our family needs, and then you just put a weird twist on it where, the aliens want that too, but they want like a slime jacuzzi, or they want carnivores next door, or they want
battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Slaughtering pits.
I love living in a volcano, that sort of thing. And client is always right. You just have to fix this. So just get on it. That's basically the game idea.
So one thing we really want to do in this game is to create dynamic and interesting worlds, right? Yeah. We want them to be fun, diverse, and inhabited by interesting creatures.
Yeah. So I mean, in many games in this genre, they tend to be like backdrops or small drones just walking about doing nothing. We really want them to be more like the stars of the show. So they are in focus and they are things you interact with and do fun stuff with. So they're not just critters walking around; they are actually agents you have to do stuff with.
And a client might want to live next to some creatures, right?
Yeah.
Because they are beautiful and interesting. Or a creature might give you a resource in some way, like in the case of the ore muncher, the space crab.
Yeah. So what is he's got like dandruff on his back? I can't recall what we used, but he's got this resource that you can use for science.
For science.
But the thing is, he's a kind of a easily scared dude, so you have to somehow either trap him or just make him relax a bit. So the example we used in the demo we had was you just hand him some ripe fruit, and like the moose in Sweden, he gets a bit drunk, and when he's drunk, he's just much more easy to handle. So
he doesn't care about you anymore.
No. So you can just walk up and scrape the dandruff off his back and use it for whatever more or less nefarious purposes you have.
You could use like a stun gun, stun the ore muncher and get the dandruff that way. It's really up to you.
Yeah, it's more of a brute force matter, but it's definitely.
It's kind of
works
cruel.
Too. Yeah.
But that's the thing, we want the creatures to be complex and we want them to be interactable in multiple ways. And not only can you use them for like resources, but just observing them and researching them is going to fill out your logbook or your codex of this planet. So that's a goal in itself. Just observing these behaviors.
Learning about the planets and how things interact is going to be a core thing as well. And also beyond just how each individual creature works, we also have these ideas where they also have relations with each other and how they work in the grand scheme of things. So
like an ecosystem.
Yeah, sort of ecosystem. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, one creature may work well with another creature or may not well work with another creature, and if one client asks for something specific and then another client asks for something, you'll end up with this sort of interesting puzzle where you try to get things working for as many people as possible. And you may end up having like themed regions or areas, and that's where the sort of grand strategy things come in. Or grand strategy, I mean meta thing. It's not going to be like a world map thing with numbers. It's still a very practical game with hands-on action. That's what we're going for. And I think that's one key thing compared with our previous game. This game is really a lot more hands-on. Our previous game, Little Bit Workshop, available in any store near you. Little Bit Workshop was a more pure management game. So it's a lot more about sort of managing this pretend factory from a top-down perspective. But it was all about the abstract strategy. So you sort of gave your minions loose instructions, and then you hope they would sort of carry things out for you.
Which you did every time.
Yeah.
Without fail.
But yeah, this time around we want it to be much more hands-on. So it's you doing stuff personally. So you are plonking down the stuff and you are moving things around. Even though like a lot what we did with LB, we want to do something a bit more different now. So both in terms of theme and tone, but mainly in terms of the core gameplay feel. We want you to actually have this gamepad friendly game feel when you play this.
Another thing we really enjoyed about Little Big Workshop is the table the game takes place in, or upon rather, and that's an element that came about quite organically, right?
Yeah, we didn't really plan for having this sort of literal table. It was also this vague idea of it's going to be like a table where you have this blueprint and you sort of pretend your own factory.
And the perspective is kind of if you're sitting by a table, but it wasn't gonna be more than that.
Yeah.
And then we added the paper because we needed like a floor, right?
That was just like a vague grey background in the beginning. And the more things we added to it, the more we decided to, this wouldn't it be fun to have actual literal things like a crayon or physical stuff? And then in the end, we had a whole room. We had like a cellar scene, which made total sense for us, and it was a kind of fun thing. A fun touch.
In this game, we toss out the table, but we still want to retain that physical, tangible feel, right?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, when you build dioramas or miniature landscapes, you typically repurpose like pieces of wood or whatever as like environmental details. So, okay, we started out like using wood and make cool mountains, and you can kind of tell that it's a dilapidated piece of wood. But this is something that we took way too far, and now we have like pastries as environmental details. We have a cream that we just build a little thing in, and that's like a ground texture now.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a kind of cool, fun look, and we're really proud with how that's working out. And it's one of those things where we hope players are gonna enjoy us walking around the world. And at first you're gonna say, "Oh, that's a cool tree," and then it's actually a marshmallow. It's like that's not actually a tree. And then the more you play, the more you can see these fun little details where it's a cool touch. We think we really enjoy doing the diorama thing again, even though in space. That's a brief intro to Space for Sale. We are in a sort of pre-alpha stage right now, so we are fairly early in development. So it's much too soon to talk about release dates and that sort of thing.
But we invite you to come along for the development process through videos like this. We intend to make a lot more videos in a similar manner, so join us on our social medias, Twitter, Discord, what have you, and let us know what you want to see. And if you have any questions about the game or about the studio, just shoot them.
Till next time.
Bye!